Westeros is home to many spectacular and amazing castles, and many that we see in Game of Thrones. However, there are many that are very underrated, and ones that we don't really get to see much of in Game of Thrones, or Game of Thrones just didn't do it justice. So, in today's video, we're going to cover the most underrated castles in no particular order. Starting us off, we have Moat Cailin. It's arguably one of the oldest castles in Westeros, and it's having been built during the dawn of the days of the first men. Legends claim that the children of the forest may have originally built it. In any case, it seems likely that various human generations used this castle for centuries, if not millennia, but it doesn't have any garrisons available in present Game of Thrones times. However, House Stark essentially reigns over this area, and Moat Cailin's location in the neck protects the north as a defense bottleneck against southern attacks. Anyone bringing an army to the north must cross Moat Cailin, where well-positioned archers could pick them off in one of the three towers. And more importantly, the first men held off the Andal invasion for a long time because Moat Cailin was in their way. This ancient castle plays a minor role in season 4 of Game of Thrones, so we do see it a little bit, but in my opinion, it's super underrated. The next underrated castle is the Dreadfort. Home to the nefarious House Boltons, the Dreadfort came into existence in the Age of the Heroes. The castle is eventually inherited by Ramsay after he murders his father and baby brother, of course. Numerous myths about the Dreadfort exist, mainly because of the Bolton penchant for flaying their enemies alive and allegedly displaying their skins. It appears that there are various torture chambers and dungeons located in the basement, along with prison cells. If that's not spooky enough for you, the Dreadfort's Great Hall eerily contains torches ensconced within skeleton hands and a pitch black ceiling from years of smoke. Many warriors in Game of Thrones are superstitious, but tall tales about the spirits aren't enough to stop them from invading the Dreadfort. What stops incoming attacks in the castle's strong walls? The huge towers and the battlements. House Bolton even survived a Stark siege for 2 years before surrendering. So I think that's a really, really cool castle. Super underrated. Next, we have Highgarden. I know it's not necessarily an underrated castle, but I think it's one of the coolest, and it's something that in Game of Thrones, they didn't really do it justice. Despite prioritizing the aesthetics over defense, capturing Highgarden is not an easy task. Many of the best constructed castles, the home of House Tyrell, sits atop the hill, which increases its line of sight and forces an opposing army to fight uphill. It also boasts 3 walls that grow in height as you inch closer to the center of the castle. Interestingly enough, Highgarden is also a very ancient castle. One feature that's unique to Highgarden is it defers enemies and welcomes friends. It's its labyrinth located between the outer walls. Finding a path through an obstacle such as this takes time, which saps the endurance of the enemy and gives the defenders more time to counter. True to the well-rounded nature of the Tyrells, Highgarden provides safety and beauty, which were both equally important for a ruler's image. The next really underrated castle we have is Pike. A castle built like no other, Pike is home of House Greyjoy. Because the structure was built on the Iron Islands long before the events of the series, the cliff that initially served as the foundation eroded into 3 rock spires jutting out of the water, each within its own keep that connects to the next via a rope bridge. In other words, this unique geography greatly limits the methods with which an enemy can claim the castle. Storming a castle that can only be traveled via destroyed bridges is very tough, which forces anyone intending to take Pike to besiege it or starve out any remaining defenders. However, the Iron Islands are ominous to the Westerosi, and the Ironborn have a better understanding of the sea than most potential invaders. Only a colossal or a determined army, like the force that ended the Greyjoy Rebellion, could brave the weather and successfully storm Pike, making it another underrated castle. Finally, the last underrated castle that I want to talk about is River Run. Controlled by House Tully for centuries, River Run is one of the best castles for siege prevention. A reasonable number of troops is necessary to garrison the structure, and it has enough supplies to sustain itself for 2 years. This means that any attempts at a successful siege would require a vast food surplus and consistently motivated soldiers. Supporting these aspects is the castle's most important defensive tool. Moats were one of the most popular and effective strategies used by medieval soldiers because they prevented invaders from reaching the gate and the walls. River Run not only possesses a moat, but has the ability to transform itself into a fortified island at will. As long as scouts do their job, River Run can close itself off and enjoy 2 years of safety while adversaries lose patience outside the fortress. However, a well supplied siege has the potential to cause serious problems. So there you have it. Those are my most underrated castles we see in Game of Thrones and in Westeros. Um, some of them we do see, and some of them are kind of major, but I think those are the ones that either Game of Thrones didn't do it justice or we just didn't really get to see very much of in the show. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.